my beautiful people out there. I just thought I would pop on today and have a quick talk to you about frustrations and how frustrating it can be when you have a chronic illness. And as I'm talking about this today, what I'd really like to do is just tell you a little bit about my story, because I think that when you find the bottom of everybody's story, it gives you something to relate to so that you feel like that you're not alone. And it's really, really tough, you know, when you're out there and you're in the trenches and you're going through all of this stuff. It's so frustrating, it is so overwhelming, and not a lot of people that are in our shoes really understand. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story really about what actually happened to me when I was right in the depths of my chronic illness and chronic pain. I thankfully have a really supportive husband, and he was there right through the whole thing for me. But I can remember he was a truck driver, and he used to be away from home 5 days at a time, and he would be there, you know, driving these ungodly hours, and then he'd have to come home and deal with what I was going through and what I couldn't do, and being there to support me basically. And I used to feel really overwhelmed, really frustrated, and so guilty, because he would have to pick up the slack where I couldn't do it. And it just didn't feel like it was fair. You know, I would look at him and he would be so exhausted. And I know that there'd be a lot of you out there that can relate to this. He was so exhausted just from doing his everyday, you know, job to try and keep us going, and then having to come home and help care for me. And I'd hate to ask him to do anything, because he just looked like he was ready to drop, because he was just absolutely exhausted. It was just horrible. So, you know, honestly, it is so frustrating when you have this happen in your life, and it's not something that we have any control over, and it's not something that we need to feel really frustrated with, because if we don't ask for help, you know, how are we going to get that help? And our loved ones are really there to help support us, if, you know, as we go along. And that's the hardest thing, you know. I can remember when things really started going wrong for us, and we would have to drive 3 hours, you know, to the doctors and back again, and just looking at him thinking that it was so hard. Hey Ash, how you going, honey? It was just absolutely incredible. So I think that when I was first diagnosed with chronic illness, the hardest thing was that I was frustrated because I couldn't do my everyday things that you normally do, like having a shower, driving myself to town, all of those sort of things. I just felt like I was a complete wreck. I felt like my life had been turned absolutely upside down. But when I stopped and thought about it, it wasn't just my life, it was my husband's life as well. So it had been completely flipped on its head. And you know, when you actually have this plan about what you want to do for the future, and it's completely changed, and you're not getting diagnosed how you want to get diagnosed, and you just feel like you are another number in this whole world. It's just like, just line up, you know, what's your number, and we'll see whether we can do anything for you. And it didn't matter that, you know, you felt like a number. It just was horrible. So there's lots of different frustrations when you've got a chronic illness that come with it. It can be the frustrations that you feel from asking people to come in and help you. It can be the frustrations of you not being able to do what you could do before, and also the frustrations of not being able to get diagnosed properly and not getting that help that you really need. You know, I read not long ago, and it's so true, that the sooner you get yourself diagnosed, the sooner you are able to take control of your situation, the better outcome that you're going to have. And being frustrated in the middle of it all is really counterproductive. It's something that we all go through, but it's a little bit counterproductive because it stops us from being able to move forward. Another thing that I found was so important, and it really helps us move forward, is acceptance. Acceptance of where we are now and our whole situation that we've got happening. And that's a really tough one. It's like going through the grieving process, but the sooner that we can accept where we are, acknowledge that we're frustrated, acknowledge our emotions, and be able to start to put a plan in place, then the better it is for not just you, but then for your whole family. You know, I think that we have a responsibility when we have a chronic illness, not just to ourselves, but to our whole family. And that responsibility is learning as much as what we possibly can about our chronic illness. And if we can do that and take care of ourselves the very best way that we can possibly take care of ourselves, that has a knock-on effect. You know, it shows the children that are around you, it shows your loved ones that you are worth looking after. And by doing that and practicing looking after yourself and putting yourself first in some cases, it shows everybody else that it's okay for them to do it as well. Because I can guarantee you that somewhere in their lives, they are going to come across a really hard part in their life, and it's going to be very similar to what you're going through. Chronic illness is one of the biggest things in this world that affects the most people. You're going to be very lucky if you get out of this life without actually developing some sort of a chronic illness. And the statistics are showing that it is more and more as we age. I know that it can happen at any age. It can happen from when you're really young to when you're really old. But I know from about 25 through until about 55, they're the years where it will really kick in, with it being more in your middle years as we actually age. So my message to you today is, yes, frustration is a part of what we actually go through. And it's something that we have to acknowledge, and we have to be able to learn to move through. And it's not always easy. Hell, it's never easy. But that's my topic for the week. So it's frustration and being overwhelmed and feeling that deep down guilt that comes with being chronically ill, and how that actually affects the family as a whole. It is just incredible. It turns your world completely upside down. So stick around for the rest of the week. I know I've got some tips and tricks coming out in the posts that I'm going to be putting up. I've got an absolutely special offer that's going to be happening in August. And it's one of the ways that I've got, I suppose, of me being able to give a gift to you. So keep your eye out for that. I think that that's coming up on Friday. So until next week, much love, light and laughter to every single one of you, and stay as well as you can, particularly in, you know, what we've got happening with COVID at the moment. All right, I will talk to you all very, very soon. I'm going to try and learn how to switch this off today, because every time I do a live, I'm still learning. So much love, light and laughter to you all. See you later. Bye. If you found this video helpful and you really liked it, give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe and leave me a comment. I'll see you in the next video.